Welcome back to my channel. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. It's great to have you here. When we speak of the first drive, we cannot help but think of that delicate moment when love itself is born. There is always a curious mix of hesitation and excitement, as though the heart itself is learning to shift gears for the very first time. Imagine sitting behind the wheel, your hands a little unsure, your breath caught between fear and anticipation. The road stretches out before you, unfamiliar yet inviting, just as the face of someone new awakens a feeling you cannot entirely name. The car hums with quiet expectation, much like the silence that lingers before the first words are spoken to someone who might one day mean everything. Every detail feels sharper, more alive. The touch of the steering wheel is as thrilling as the first time fingers brush together, almost by accident, and yet so intentional. The mirror reflects your own uncertainty, the way your eyes search for reassurance. You are aware of every sound, the gentle click of the indicator, the steady beat of the engine, just as you become aware of every heartbeat when standing too close to another soul. Hesitation does not come from weakness, but from the knowledge that what you are about to begin may alter your world entirely, and that knowledge fills you with an energy that is at once terrifying and irresistible. As the car begins to move, the road responds like a partner willing to guide you if only you trust it. That first inch forward is not simply motion, it is a promise. It is the whispered beginning of a story still unwritten. You hesitate, of course, for what if you falter? What if you stall before you even leave the driveway? Yet there is beauty even in the possibility of mistakes, because every pause is an invitation to learn, to adjust, to continue with more determination than before. Love itself often begins this way, clumsy, uncertain, yet driven by a force too strong to be denied. In those moments, every small success feels monumental. The car rolls forward smoothly, and you feel as though you have conquered the world. A smile escapes without permission, much like the warmth that spreads when you notice affection reflected back at you for the first time. The road, like the heart, rewards courage. Each passing second confirms that this trembling beginning was worth the risk, that every ounce of hesitation was merely the price of a joy about to unfold. And so, with every turn of the wheel, you learn to trust both yourself and the path ahead. You discover that love, like driving, is never about the absence of fear, but about the choice to move forward in spite of it. That first drive will always carry the weight of newness, but also the promise of everything that follows. And it is in that very promise where love and the road become one, each urging you forward, whispering the same truth. The journey has only just begun. There is something quietly beautiful in the way two roads run alongside one another, never quite merging, but always moving forward together. It is in that quiet harmony that we find the reflection of hearts that grow closer, not by sudden leaps, but by the steady companionship of time and direction. When two cars drive side by side, there is no need for words to prove connection. The very act of remaining near, of keeping pace, becomes its own kind of devotion. The space between may seem small, yet within it lies trust, understanding, and the unspoken hope that neither will drift away. Love, in its truest form, mirrors this delicate balance. We do not rush it, nor force it to cross lanes before its time. Instead, we allow it to move steadily, cherishing the comfort of knowing someone is near, matching our rhythm, respecting our pace. Just as a driver glances to the side and finds reassurance in the steady line of another car, so too does the heart find solace in discovering a companion who chooses to remain close. There is a sweetness in this quiet presence, for it speaks not of obligation, but of choice. Every mile covered in this manner deepens the connection. The roads may twist, they may bend, and sometimes they may even drift apart, only to return again to that gentle parallel. In those moments, we learn that love is not the desperate attempt to bind two lives into one, but rather the graceful acceptance that two souls can remain themselves while still journeying together. Independence does not weaken the bond, it strengthens it. For when you know the other could take another road yet chooses to stay beside you, the heart is filled with a kind of security that no words could match. Think of the silence that lingers when you are with someone you trust completely. It is not empty. It is filled with 1,000 unspoken promises, just as the quiet hum of engines moving side by side becomes a song of companionship. The world outside may rush and roar, but within that small, steady alignment there is peace. That peace grows into affection, and affection, when tended with care, grows into love that endures. And yet, we must acknowledge that roads, like lives, are not without hazards. There will be times when traffic presses too close, when distractions tempt us to lose focus, when the lanes themselves narrow. In those times, the true strength of love shows itself not in drama or declaration, but in the gentle steadiness of choosing not to stray. To continue side by side, even in difficulty, is a quiet triumph that needs no applause. In the end, it is not the grandeur of sweeping gestures that defines the journey, but the simple, constant nearness of another heart. Two roads, two souls moving forward together, not bound by force but guided by choice. And in that choice lies the very essence of love itself. When we think of the turns we make on the road, we begin to see how closely they resemble the choices we make in love. Each turn brings with it a new direction, a shift in scenery, and often an uncertainty about what lies ahead. Some turns are sharp and sudden, demanding immediate attention, while others are gentle curves that invite us to move with ease. Yet all of them, whether abrupt or smooth, remind us that no journey is ever entirely straight. Just as the road insists upon decision, so does the heart, asking us to choose again and again how we will love, how we will forgive, and how we will remain. There is a quiet weight in these choices, for every turn taken means another is left behind. To love is not to wander aimlessly, but to decide with each moment where we will give our trust, where we will lay our hope, and with whom we will share our days. Sometimes the road appears wide and clear, and the decision feels easy, as though it were made for us. At other times the path narrows, and we hesitate, uncertain if this turn will lead us toward joy or into difficulty. And yet, hesitation itself is proof of care, for we know that love is not a game to be played thoughtlessly, but a journey where each choice shapes what follows. When the road forks, we cannot travel both ways. In that moment, the heart teaches us the value of commitment. To choose one direction is to embrace its promises and its risks, to accept that what lies unseen is part of the adventure. Love, too, requires this bravery. It asks us not to linger forever at the crossroads, but to move forward, trusting that the turn we take holds meaning, even if we cannot see the whole of it. There is no guarantee that every choice will be perfect. But perfection is not the goal. The goal is to remain true, to walk the path with sincerity, to take each turn with intention rather than fear. In time, we come to realize that the beauty of the journey lies not only in where we arrive, but in how we choose along the way. A wrong turn can still reveal unexpected wonders, just as a difficult choice in love may uncover a strength we did not know we possessed. What matters most is not that the path is flawless, but that we travel it with honesty, with kindness, and with the courage to continue even when the way is unclear. Every turn is a choice, and every choice is a declaration of who we are and what we value. And when two hearts choose again and again to turn toward one another, the road, however uncertain, becomes not a burden but a blessing. For it is not the straight lines that define love, but the choices that bring us closer with every turn we dare to take. There is a tender rhythm in the way the clutch works, a delicate balance between holding on and letting go, and in that rhythm we find a reflection of love itself. To press too tightly is to stall, to hold too loosely is to lose momentum, but when we master the balance, the car moves forward with grace. In much the same way, love asks us to find that balance between clinging and releasing, between guarding too fiercely and trusting enough to let the other breathe. At the start, there is a kind of trembling in our touch. We worry that if we do not hold on tightly enough, the bond might slip away. Yet, if we grip without easing, if we refuse to release even for a moment, the very weight of our fear brings everything to a halt. There is an art in knowing when to hold and when to let go, an art learned slowly through mistakes, just as a new driver learns through the awkward jerks of the car. And just as with driving, love rewards patience. Each misstep teaches us to feel more deeply, to sense the right timing, to understand that both closeness and freedom are necessary. There are moments when holding on is vital. We steady the wheel, press the clutch, and keep our place because the road demands our full attention. In love, too, storms come, and during those storms we must hold firmly to one another. The world may rattle and shake, doubts may whisper in the dark, but if we clutch too lightly in those moments, we risk drifting apart. The strength of love is shown in how we endure together when the road is steep or uncertain, when neither knows exactly what lies ahead, yet both choose to hold steady until the way clears. But just as important are the moments when we must let go. Love is not possession, it is trust. The clutch, when released at the right moment, allows the car to move freely, to find its natural speed, and so it is with the heart. To love someone is not to control every step, but to allow them the space to move, to grow, to be themselves while knowing they are cherished. Too much pressure can smother, but the right release allows the bond to breathe. It is in this letting go that love becomes stronger, for it shows faith rather than fear. As the car glides forward, smooth and steady, we understand that mastery lies not in choosing one over the other, but in weaving both together, the hold and the release, the pause and the motion. Love, like driving, is an endless series of these clutching moments, each one reminding us that control and freedom must exist side by side. And when we learn this balance, the journey becomes not a struggle, but a joy that carries us gracefully onward. On any road, hazards appear without warning. A sudden turn, a fallen branch, a light that changes too quickly. These are the tests of a driver's patience and focus. Love, too, is never free of obstacles. It may begin as a smooth, sunlit ride, yet sooner or later we find ourselves confronted by misunderstandings, disappointments, or fears that rise like unexpected detours. What defines both journeys is not the absence of difficulty, but the grace with which we meet it. A careful driver slows, steadies, and adjusts, just as a loving heart chooses to listen, to forgive, and to move forward with care. There is always a moment of surprise when a hazard reveals itself. The first reaction is often panic, the sharp tightening of the chest, the fear that the journey has been interrupted beyond repair. But then comes the choice. Do we swerve recklessly and risk greater harm, or do we pause, breathe, and handle the obstacle with patience? In love, this same moment presents itself. Harsh words may be spoken, trust may falter, or expectations may go unmet. Yet if we respond with anger, we risk losing control. If instead we respond with calm, with gentleness, we discover that healing is not only possible but transformative. Healing begins not in the absence of wounds, but in the care given to them. Just as a driver learns to navigate a rough patch in the road, love learns to mend itself through small, deliberate actions. An apology given with sincerity, a hand reached out after silence, a willingness to try again. These are the soft maneuvers that repair the cracks. Each act of healing becomes a proof of love's resilience, showing that obstacles are not endings, but opportunities to grow closer. Some hazards require us to slow down. The impatient driver may try to speed through, only to make matters worse. Love, too, demands patience in its hardest hours. It asks us to wait, to allow time to soften the sharpness of pain, to let understanding replace quick judgment. Healing cannot be rushed. It unfolds in its own rhythm, just as the road eventually clears when we move forward with steadiness instead of haste. And when we honor that rhythm, we find that what once seemed an obstruction becomes a turning point toward deeper connection. There will be times when the path is clear again, and the memory of the hazard remains only as a reminder of what was overcome. And there will be times when the road continues to challenge us, when obstacles arise again and again. Yet each time we face them, we learn more about ourselves and about those we travel beside. Love that has endured hazards carries with it a quiet strength, a confidence born not of ease, but of survival. In the end, obstacles do not diminish love, they reveal its depth. For when we choose healing over despair, patience over haste, and forgiveness over fear, love, like careful driving, always finds a way forward. There is a sweetness in the thought of arrival, yet the truest joy lies not in the place itself, but in the company with whom we arrive. A journey, whether long or short, carries with it twists and pauses, challenges and ease, but when shared, it becomes something greater than either traveler could create alone. To arrive together is not simply to reach the same point on the map, it is to have chosen again and again to remain by one another's side until the journey's end. The road is rarely without its difficulties. There are stretches where silence settles between two hearts, stretches where laughter fills the air, and others where frustration presses like heavy traffic. At times, one grows weary and the other takes the lead. At others, the roles are reversed. Yet in every stage there is a quiet promise being fulfilled. Neither will abandon the journey. This is the unseen thread that binds the ride together, the assurance that whatever lies around the next bend will be met together, hand in hand. So often we speak of destinations as though they are the prize, but in truth, the destination matters far less than the path traveled to reach it. The road teaches us to value the hours spent in shared company, the stories told, the small comforts offered, the shared glances when the scenery surprises us. It is these moments, woven gently into the fabric of the journey, that make arrival meaningful. Without them, the destination is only a point on a map, stripped of its soul. With them, it becomes a symbol of endurance, of patience, of love that chose to continue despite all that stood in its way. There is also humility in recognizing that no journey is perfect. Cars break down, weather changes, delays frustrate the best laid plans, and so it is with love. But what gives the arrival its sweetness is not perfection, it is persistence. To arrive together after hardship is to declare that the obstacles were never stronger than the bond. The scratches, the delays, the wrong turns, these do not weaken the arrival, they enrich it. They tell the story of how two souls refused to give up, how each remained steadfast when the other faltered, how both chose to continue until they stood at last where they had intended to be. The hand we hold at the end is proof of every choice made along the way. It is the evidence that, despite fear, despite hardship, the promise was kept, and so arriving together becomes more than a destination. It becomes the triumph of love itself, the quiet reward of loyalty and patience, the culmination of every mile traveled side by side. For in the end, the road is not remembered for its length or its difficulty, but for the joy of stepping out at the destination with the same hand that guided us there. And so, from that very first drive to arriving hand in hand, every turn, every hazard, every clutching moment has shown us how love and the road move together. Parallel hearts, steady choices, and healing through obstacles remind us that the journey matters more than the destination. If you felt the story touched your heart, don't forget to give it a like. Subscribe for more English stories that inspire and teach along the way. And until the next ride, keep learning, keep loving, and keep moving forward together.